It's a 217 Probcast. Kyle here. Oh my goodness, I am super excited. I don't even know what you call it. Cicadageddon 2024, maybe?
That's a good way to put it.
Well, I thought, man, who is going to be qualified to speak on this? Because everybody's heard of it. So few of us know all about it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Chris Dietrich, he works for the, help me out here. We're in a building surrounded by insects, and there's like I had to go through 9 levels of security to get in here and all this.
We're at the Illinois Natural History Survey, which is part of the Prairie Research Institute of the University of Illinois.
And your job is to investigate new insects or stuff like that.
Yeah,
right?
I'm a researcher. I do research on insects, mostly groups that are of some economic importance, like crop pests, for example. So the group that I work on is actually related to cicadas. It's called leafhoppers, and they feed on plant sap just like cicadas do. As far as we know, cicadas are not capable of transmitting plant diseases, but they're really understudied, and so it's possible they could. It just hasn't been documented yet.
I would imagine when it comes to studying cicadas, is it difficult, obviously, because they're so hard to find? I mean...
Well, they're not really that hard to find because, of course, the males are out calling during the day and they make a lot of noise. And so you can
just like me in my 20s.
You can locate them using the calls. Sometimes it's hard to find individuals because they tend to call as a group. Purpose of the call is for the male to attract the female. It's a courtship mechanism for species to get together. Each species has its own unique call, and so that's the way the females recognize males of the same species, just like birds do, or tree frogs, things like that.
Just go ahead and tell us the life cycle and what's going to happen.
Yeah, so normal annual cicadas come out every year, but all cicadas spend most of their lives underground. The immature stage is called a nymph, and it's basically a little wingless creature, pale colored, that digs through the soil, looks for plant roots, and they suck the sac out of the roots. Most cicadas spend 2 or 3 years underground before emerging as adults. The ones that we're going to be talking about here are the periodical cicadas. Those are the ones that only come out every 13 or 17 years. And this type of cicada only occurs in the eastern U.S. So that's one of kind of special things about this part of the world.
Really? So no other part of the U.S.
Well, so it's the eastern U.S. and basically, so the periodical cicadas are kind of divided into year classes, which are called broods. And so each brood has its own territory in part of the eastern U.S. There's very little overlap between the broods.
Yeah.
So each one has its own specific territory and it comes out on a specific year. So they're out of sync from each other most of the time. But in this case, the case of this year, we actually have 2 broods, a northern 17-year brood and a southern 13-year brood that are coming out simultaneously.
It's funny. It sounds like you're talking about whiskey or like bourbon. Like this is a top shelf 13-year. Mm-hmm. Why the 13-year and I know obviously it's not arbitrary. Why is that?
Yeah, well, we think it's kind of it's prime numbered, and so it's really from an adaptive standpoint. If you were gonna confuse your predators, then you would probably choose prime-numbered years.
Wait them out for 17 years.
Basically, that's basically it. They emerge. They have these mass emergences where millions of them come out almost simultaneously.
We have liftoff, and certainly the crawl out.
No way, ew!
Alex Shire couldn't bear to see the videos of 13-year cicadas now emerging up to 1.5 million per acre.
At very infrequent intervals, 13 or 17 years, and there's basically no way any kind of specialized predator could adapt to that kind of life cycle. It's kind of an extreme form of the strategy that a lot of other animals use. Like if you think about schooling fish or big flocks of birds, it's a strength in numbers approach. So they overwhelm their predators. You know, they show up all of a sudden. There's never enough predators to catch them all. The predators will catch a few of them.
So is that what they're doing for the 17 years? I mean, they're sucking nutrients? Is that what they're doing?
Yeah, that's basically what they're doing. They go through, you know, any kind of invertebrate is going to go through a molt, what we call a molt. Us, where our skeleton is on the inside of our body, their skeleton is on the outside. And so that limits their growth. So once they get to a certain size, they have to shed their exoskeleton.
Yeah.
So they go through 5 molts, and then they reach the adult stage. And the adults are the ones that have the wings, and they're the ones that reproduce.
So how long are they under? I mean, like, so we say 17 years. I mean, is it one little guy that's underground for 17 years?
Yeah, basically.
Wow.
Yeah. So what happens is the females, once they've mated with the male, they'll go off and look for a place to lay their eggs, and they lay their eggs in the twigs of woody plants, usually trees.
Yeah.
And then the eggs will incubate for a couple of weeks. Then the nymphs, the immatures, will actually hatch out. They'll drop to the ground, they'll crawl down into the soil, and then they won't come back out for 17 or 13 years. So basically all that time underground, they're kind of developing slowly. They're sucking nutrients out of the roots of the plants. At some point they have sort of wired into their genetic to come out after 13 or 17 years.
That's what. Come out 17 years old, rebellious, smoking a cigarette, probably. I don't know, I'm guessing.
See, that's what I'm afraid is that they're going to be dive bombing.
You know, so the adults will come out, their wings will kind of unfold and straighten, and the males can start calling. They use a organ called a timbal, which is basically just a structure at the base of the abdomen that they vibrate to make.
That's what that sound is.
That's what the sound is. Yeah.
And then the ladies come for them,
or ladies come to them. Yeah,
wow, it must be nice.
The males just sit tight. They sing, and then if the female likes the song, she'll come check out the male, and
the songs are different, actually.
Yeah, so each one of these broods has either 3 or 4 different species, and that's one of the amazing things about these is that it's not just a single species; it's multiple species that are synchronized. So, and those can be told apart if you listen carefully, just by the unique male call.
And you could do that.
Yeah, if you get it, from a distance, so you just hear this sort of monotonous hum.
Mm-hmm.
But if you get up close to where the individuals are actually calling, you can actually tell them apart.
I'm that way with Green Day albums. And before we started recording, you said that you have ran into some trouble before. Maybe some bees.
Yeah. So I do a lot of field work. One of the things I enjoy about my job is being able to get out in nature and find new things. And so I spend time in the tropics, especially trying to.
That's got to be a bad gig right there, man.
Yeah, I want to document as many species as I can, and pretty much anywhere you go in the tropics, you're going to find new things, new species.
When you say new, you don't mean new to you. You mean new to us.
New to everybody. New to science.
Wow.
Things that haven't been named yet.
Yeah, because when a lot of us hear, oh, they found a new thing, I think, oh, that must happen so rare. But I guess with insects, it's not that rare.
Yeah, it's not that hard to find new insects if you know where to look. Basically.
We're under rocks.
Yeah. Well, the ones I work on feed on plants. So I go out with the net and sweep it over the plants. I also use lights just to go out at night and set up a light.
How many new species have you personally?
Personally, I think I'm probably between 400 and 500.
Whoa, 400 and 500? That's crazy.
Like that.
Do you name them?
Yeah, so I get to name them. I've named species after all my extended family members. And,
oh, that's awesome.
Some of them were more thrilled than others to have a bug named after
Wait,
them.
You didn't run it by them before they...
No.
No. That's my decision.
No.
Have you named any after maybe some enemies before? Maybe...
No, I haven't, because I have heard of some colleagues that have done that. Colleagues that work on like dung beetles or stink bugs or things like that.
Yeah, that is so funny. Who was maybe you don't have to name names, but what did they say when they were upset with you that you named a species after them?
I think they were, I wouldn't say they were upset. They were just not necessarily honored.
That'll be my legacy.
Yeah, not necessarily.
Have you named one after yourself?
That's kind of considered not cool.
Really?
After yourself. I do have species that other people have named after me. So.
Fascinating. So, okay, what do I have to do to get a bug named after me? And you know what? I don't care. Dung beetle, disgusting.
Well, did you bring your checkbook? I mean,
I should. Yeah. You know what? I know you're an educational man with dignity. If I were you, I'd be making money like crazy. I'd be like, you want to have a bug? You want to have a beetle?
I have several species named after me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it kind of like
just other colleagues and
right? That's
friends of mine.
That's how you figure. That's how you get it in there. I figure that. Okay. It's like price fixing. Everybody's all together. Okay. But going back to the bees, though, anything with bees scares me to death. But you've been attacked by them before.
Yeah, a couple times. Once in Mexico, once in Brazil.
Oh my gosh!
Each time, just came upon a nest, didn't realize it was there till it was too late. And yeah, these Africanized bees, the killer bees, they call them.
Yeah,
they come after you, and they just don't quit. You know.
Yeah,
basically. Right. So basically, what you have to do is you just drop everything and you run as fast as you can until they stop chasing you.
Really? There's nothing what are you going to do? You swing on them?
No, you can't. And,
you jump in water?
If you smack them, that makes it worse because they release a pheromone that actually causes the other ones to attack you even more.
Oh, wow. So, are regular bees like that or just the killer bees?
Yeah, regular honeybees are a lot more docile. I mean, they will sting, if they feel that you're a threat to their nest. But
do they have that pheromone, though? That
they do, but they're just a lot less. Yeah, they're a lot less persistent.
How many times were you stung by the...
each time, probably at least 100.
God!
More than that. So I always carry antihistamine with me. Just I'm not allergic to bead stings.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say some, and it still. Oh my gosh, 100. Does it feel like, compared to like a regular wasp? What does a killer bee feel like?
I've had worse stings. The problem with the killer bees is that is the number of stings. It's just hundreds of them trying to sting you all at the same time. Wasps typically, one or two, maybe if you disturb a normal wasp nest. Ants, there's some ants. There's some tropical ants. There's a thing called the bullet ant that has a really painful sting.
I've heard about this.
Packs a wallop. Yeah.
That's the one. I believe I saw a YouTube video of a guy saying that was the most painful bite that he's ever had.
Yeah, there was actually a guy that researched, pain levels of insect stings and bites, and I can't remember his name now, but yeah, he's kind of famous for that.
Yeah, have you been bitten by a?
Yeah, I have.
You have? Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
It feels silly to ask because you're just going to say painful, but like, what does it feel? I mean, is it like, what is it like?
It's just immediate, just shooting pain. This was my hand, and I wasn't watching where I was putting my hand, and I put my hand right down on one that was crawling up a tree, and immediately it was like just wham, just.
Oh, and it goes up your whole.
Really sharp pain went up my arm, and then my hand swelled up like twice the normal size.
Because of some venom or poison?
Yeah,
or?
just from the venom, yeah.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, you've been out there, man. You're like Indiana Jones.
Yeah, it's an occupational hazard.
You have a whip with you too, and you're a professor too.
No, I've got my nets, and that's about it.
Going really quickly back to the killer bee. What is the difference in the Africanized killer bees and the regular bees?
Yeah, it's they're technically the same species of bee. It's just that the Africanized bees
they've done time in prison for killing people.
They're just more aggressive for whatever reason. They're a special, different genotype that occurs in tropical Africa that they actually brought over to Brazil just to improve honey production in Brazil.
Yeah, I mean, like. Because off the top, you're like, why would you make that? Do you know what I mean? Like, we gave it a gun. It's like, why? Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And now we can't probably.
Yeah, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. They're all the way up. They occur in South Texas and Arizona now. So
They do.
They've basically worked their way north from Brazil.
Oh,
over
my
the
Lord.
past 30 years.
Do we
30,
need to
20
worry
years.
about them coming up
Well,
here?
you know, with climate change, you never know how far
Right.
north they might be able to.
So there's a
Yeah,
downside to climate change, is what you're saying.
Yeah, if there weren't enough already, yeah.
What do we need to know about the cicadas? You've already talked about the life cycle and all of
Mhm.
that. How rare is it that we have the two beefing tribes? Are they going to feud with each other? Is it going to be like the 90s gangster rap wars?
Yeah, as far as we know, they don't interact. The historic records of these two broods, and of course, the last time these two came out was 1803, which was when Thomas Jefferson was president. Nobody was really paying attention to cicadas back then.
Wow, yeah, that's
so,
crazy.
But each one of these broods has been out several times since then, separately. And there have been people that have actually mapped where they actually occur in Illinois, and they've found that they do come close in some areas, like right around Springfield.
Yeah.
And there's another area in southern Livingston County, just northeast of here, northwest of here. But as far as we know, they don't actually physically overlap, and they don't move around a lot. The adults will fly around a little bit, especially the females when they're looking for the males, and later when they're looking for a place to
That's them right now. Very
Yeah.
appropriate ringtone. I love that. How far down are they?
They don't go too far down in the soil, probably maybe 3 feet.
And
3
then,
feet at most.
so for 17 years, they're
Yeah,
just
so they're
3 feet.
just down there hanging out. They build a little chamber.
Speaking of predators, I mean, are they tasty? I'm sure that you've eaten them.
You
before.
can, yeah, they're edible. Yeah, people eat them. People all over the world eat cicadas as well as many other kinds of insects. They, I think some people think they taste more like canned asparagus, which is not.
Ugh.
To me, they taste like other kinds of insects that I've eaten, which are
They taste
a little bit like shrimp.
Oh, okay.
So
They kind of look like it.
Yeah.
Are
Well,
they
they're related.
really? Yeah.
So they're all arthropods. Shrimp are crustaceans. Insects are a different class of arthropods.
I could eat that. That sounds delicious. Kind of like okay.
So the main thing is that once they mature, once the exoskeleton gets really hard, then they're really crunchy. So it's like eating a shrimp without peeling it.
Yeah,
So,
that sounds fantastic, actually. And they're going to be all over the place.
So you can. The best time to get them, if you want to try to eat them, is to go out at night, because that's when most of them are going to be molting out of the juvenile skin, and the adults. You want to get the adults just after they emerge, before they get their dark pigmentation.
Have you done that before? You ever go out shirtless with a just get them?
Yeah, well, they're really easy to catch at that stage because they're basically immobile. They're just sitting on a tree trunk, so there's no skill involved in actually.
It's my favorite kind of hunting right there.
Yeah, so
no skill involved whatsoever.
Yeah, so you can just grab a few and toss them in the frying pan with some oil and maybe a few onions and salt.
Is that what? Have you done that? You ever you've gone out and grabbed them and went in?
I've eaten them. Yeah, I don't make a habit of it, but just as an entomologist,
Sure.
I try to sample the different insects that are on offer, different places that I travel. So
that's fascinating, because you do have one of the few jobs of the animal kingdom, I would guess, where you can eat them all, right? I mean, it's not necessarily like a horse doctor is not like, well, I had to eat the horse. So hold on a second, wait a minute, right?
Yeah, so there's no restrictions on harvesting insects for most insects. I mean, of course, if it's an endangered species, then that's certainly frowned upon.
But they taste even better, I bet, right?
Well, I don't know. I've never tried an endangered species before. I imagine they taste pretty much like other bugs.
That's why they're endangered, though, right?
Well,
like the dodo, I heard was delicious.
Well, they're probably I think they're probably aren't any documented cases of insects that have been driven to extinction because of human consumption.
That's how
It's
you
more
know.
overuse of pesticides, destruction of habitat, more general stuff.
All the depressing things,
Yeah.
not because they tasted yummy.
Yeah.
What was the bird? I know this isn't but you're more educated than me. Like wasn't there a bird in like Canada that was like a friendly, like delicious? It just like walked along. It was like, hey, and it had never seen people, and then like it was gone like within that.
Penguinus impanis, or the great auk, is a species of alcid that lived in the North Atlantic coastal waters, from Western Europe and Greenland to the coasts of Canada and the US.
Well, there have been several birds like that. You mentioned the dodo. That was on the island of Mauritius out in the Indian Ocean.
Yeah.
Flightless, and sailors landed there, and they were hungry, and
Yeah.
it was easy to catch these nice big meaty
so
flightless birds. And
it's so sad, but I understand. Like I mean, I get like, oh, I'm looking at that. Oh man, that's sad. But it wouldn't happen if we were out there eating cicadas. Maybe
that's possibly true.
What's your what do you think's the tastiest insect that you've ever personally eaten?
That's a good question. I think these maguey worms that live in agaves. That if you get a bottle of good tequila, you got the worm that's in the bottom.
It doesn't have to be good. I've had some pretty cheap tequila with some bad worm.
Yeah, but those are good.
So you've had those.
They're tasty. Yeah, people in Mexico harvest those, and
how do they? Are those alcoholic worms?
Tacos. No, they're not out. I mean, normally when they're just in the plant, they're down eating the roots of the agave plant. When they harvest them, they collect a few and stick them in the bottle with the tequila. But
and you get drunk eating those?
People, I suppose you could if you eat a lot of the ones that have been soaking in tequila.
Challenge accepted.
There you go. Yeah.
I think I know your next paper. That's what it's going to be on. If somebody's interested in entomology and they want to follow in your footsteps, what should they do?
Well, study biology. Just learn the basics, and if you're in college, if you're lucky enough to be at a college where they have entomologists, take an entomology course, and then to become a professional entomologist, typically you have to go to graduate school and get a master's or PhD.
It's a lot of work. It sounds like
it's a lot of work, but it's worth it in the end.
No, I'm sure it is. It's just
every day for me. Every day it's something new. Insects are so diverse.
That's gotta be cool.
Every time I come into the office, I think, okay, well, what am I going to discover today?
That's great.
It's new things every day.
I used to work at Blockbuster. It's got to feel like the opposite of that. Like the dying days, videotapes, the opposite of videotapes. I guess.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Again, thank you so much, my friend, Mr. Chris Dietrich, here at the
Illinois Natural History Survey.
That's exactly what I said. Make sure that do you have social media? You got a podcast?
I do not. No.
You got T-shirts you want to sell?
We have T-shirts.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
These are only available a few times a year, but you can get on our mailing list if you go to our website.
We show it off on the camera.
We also have.
There we go. Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We also have. Our insect collection manager, Tommy McElrath, has Facebook page, and so if you look up insect collection at Illinois Natural History Survey, just Google that. Ways that you can get involved in citizen science, that kind of thing.
You're going to be selling some cicada T-shirts. That's what you got to do, but only every prime number of years.
I just bought one from a local artist, Jill Miller, who runs a place called Hui Batiks. She's got special cicada T-shirts available now. So.
Really? Well, there we go.
So contact her if you want one. I think you can go. She's got her online store. You can order yourself a very nice cicada T-shirt.
I think she stole her idea from me that I just came up with 10 seconds ago. So, all right. Well, thank you very much. Hey, subscribe to us on social media. We're going to be seeing you back here next week. Thank you very much, Chris. Bye-bye, everybody.